I'm not going to talk about Cloud Chamber so much because Christian Fonnesbeck, the creator, is going to come on straight after me and give you all the gory detail of a very successful and very exciting project that we have funded. Anyway, so I'll talk about, there Christian is. I'll talk about New Danish Screen as a funder of film and innovation. We're a talent development scheme. I'm going to be very old school and start my laptop because I couldn't find another better way of getting my notes ready for now. I'll firstly talk briefly about the Danish Film Institute, and because we are part of the Danish Film Institute. Then I have to do this. Yeah, it works. And who we are. Our main objective is clearly to make films. We are minority language in Denmark, so we do have an awful lot of money. That's probably not the reason why we do have an awful lot of money to spend on film and education. But we are part of a film accord that is renewed every 4 years. There was a film law negotiated in 1997, I believe. And you will see Borgen, I believe, shortly on your screens as of next week, I think. Many probably already saw it on BBC4 or whatever. But yeah, you will see there that the notion of negotiating a film law in place is probably as difficult as some of the other things Birgitte get into in Borgen. 70 million euro a year is what we have at the moment. And I have to change it here. What we do handles all aspects of film. We are, apart from doing films, we do a lot of educational work, promotional work, and resource work also online for schools, young people. Don't worry, I'm going to go quickly through this. We have, there's a way of looking at film as a carrier of culture. We try to make films that both have cultural value, but also clearly artistic value. We need to try and keep developing the language of film, which is not always a viable sort of commercial business, as we all know. And then there's the thing about the minority language, which we need to support because otherwise we would only see English films or Spanish films. The way we work generally, and it's the same at New Danish Screen, is that film commissioners are employed for a 2-year period, then another 2-year period, and if they're really lucky or don't really want to leave the secure in-house institution that is the Danish Film Institute, you can have another year. So 5 years is a max and you're out again, which should help secure some kind of integrity and way of always getting some fresh eyes onto your projects. So if people have, whenever they come to the different support schemes, they're very often in a position to speak to somebody new, because we do have, there's some slates here, as you can see, so the slides show some slides from some of the production we've done, of which you may or may not know many. The commissioner scheme, people obviously need some other funding. Art house films, of which Nymphomaniac is probably the latest to be talked about, which Maria and Philip will talk about a bit later, the promotion of that, is there you don't need necessarily so much money. We can up the money a little bit, which is to the tune of just over 1 million euros for a budget that might be under 2 million euros, so over 50%. Mainstream feature films is another brand of what we do within the Institute. There people need slightly less funding, and these titles are maybe not known so well outside Denmark. And even more commercial, we have films that need 70% of their budget in place and an audience of they should try and guarantee an audience of over 200,000 people out of a 5 million population, which is approximately how many we are in Denmark. Minor co-productions we do, I believe, does it say, 5 to 9 films a year. We have a producer, an international producer at the Film Institute, if anybody's interested. I'll give you her contacts. But you need to have a producer in Denmark, obviously, connected to a project to qualify for that, be eligible for that. We have a documentary department, short film department, that fund everything from, as you can see, international creative documentaries, primetime docs, experiments, and also some short films. However, they don't do many short films, as hopefully we'll talk a bit about later. Again, one of the titles they have funded, or part funded, is The Act of Killing, that you may know has just been nominated for an Oscar in the documentary category, with Josh, who lives in Denmark, as the director. Public Service Fund is for television stations. That is to try and support productions that may not be so particularly again, commercially viable, and there's not necessarily a great element of risk involved, but a development that needs to be supported by the broadcaster. We are also within the Film House, which is in the middle of Copenhagen. We have a film workshop. We also have that in Aarhus and in Odense, which is our second and third city, where we at New Danish Screen, we work with professional talent. The film workshops work with more raw talent that can not necessarily walk in from the street. They need to have some ideas and some skills, but it's more entry level. And they have equipment, and they fund, I believe, 40 films a year, but with very, very small grants, like 1,000 euros max, I think. So it really is everybody working for free, and you can afford to hire a car, something like that. Here we go. This is New Danish Screen. What differentiates us from the other things within the film house is that you don't need to be fully professional, but you need to be on your way. You need to have made, ideally, 2 past productions, but no feature films yet. So we're sort of sitting in the middle ground there. What is also making or distinguishing us is that we can fully fund films. So actually, producers can come to us with no money attached, and that's because, as we all know, we haven't had the Celtic tiger quite as much as you guys have, and we've not been eaten by it or bitten or whatever as strongly or as badly as you have here, but there is not a huge element of risk-taking going on at the moment. So producers, if they want to spend all that time and extra energy it does occasionally take to work with new talent, they don't have to bring money to the table. We'll pay top dollar. Not top dollar because we are a low budget scheme, but we'll pay 100% if need be. Having said that, obviously we don't fund everything we see, but I'll get to that. Another reason for fully fund is to give the talent some peace and quiet, and to not be stressed out and pushed about by editors. I may be a commissioning editor, but at least it's only me. I don't have a broadcaster to deliver to necessarily. We can, I'll get to that. Anyway, so vision. To support and inspire development of film, its form and ways of telling stories. The film workshop. Valu Fjord was an Icelandic filmmaker who made a film that was in Cannes last year, for instance, and the picture on the bottom there is by a filmmaker. We are now making a film with a lot of the people who come from the film workshop come directly to us straight after. Oh, I must have missed the computer game slide. That is what we also have a fund of approximately 5 million Danish kroner a year. We do not fund production, but it's all about prototyping and investing in early ideas and to see if they can run. I think they get about 80 to 100 applications a year, and they fund about 20 to 30, I believe, with small grants and some slightly bigger grants. And you can see Limbo there. Christian and Cloud Chamber were not funded by them, but they could have maybe come to us at an earlier stage. But this is a fairly new invention that started under New Danish Screen and has now branched out to become its own scheme. And the new film accord we are negotiating at the moment with the government, we are trying to actually, I'm not personally myself sitting there, but we are trying to get more money into games because, as we all know, there's some platforms there we need to make sure we're ready to deliver to. So there we are. I think I got to that slide. We are part funded, we are half funded by the Film Institute, i.e. the Minister of Culture in Denmark, and then by our broadcasters, public service broadcasters, DR, Denmark's Radio, and TV2. And yeah, vision, here we are. It'll never happen again, okay? If I am asleep, then we'll make sure that you're not. Yeah, it's our job to support the best in what's out there, but it's not our job to tell people how to do it. So the thing is, people come to us with ideas, and we try and see if we can find the vision in that. If the filmmakers, the producer, the writer, the director can do something together, can create something together, that's a way to go. We created New Danish Screen 10 years ago. We had our party the other night, and I can still feel it in my voice. Simply to be a new opportunity for new talent to be able to come somewhere where it's maybe easier to have a conversation. Again, that's not necessarily editorially guided by a commissioning editor at a broadcaster who do have an audience to cater for and to, and we don't. So we are the playground to support the talent on their terms so that they dictate the direction. We obviously do a lot of kicking and pushing and nursing on the way. We have 3.7 million euros approximately per annum. We do produce between 10 and 14 films a year, but we put a hell of a lot more into development, and then we see what makes it to the end. We support everything, animation, sci-fi, feature films, documentaries, fiction obviously, feature documentaries I was meant to say. We have 4 different durations. Of course we've also fund transmedia, says Cloud Chamber, that Christian will talk about. And we fund, at the moment we have one production in development that is a sort of link between a traditional online interactive game, but also therefore get some funding from the game's subsidy scheme. That's a crossover there. Animation, CGI, same budgets as the rest, so there we do put some challenges on the new talent and their producers for a reason. We hope to, in the new film accord, to get more money into making more feature films, because obviously that's where a lot of the talent see themselves going. They will not all go, although many of them will, to DR, so they can become the new creative talent sitting in the writer's room and develop fantastic ideas. But for many filmmakers, the feature film is what they really are aiming for. We also support businesses at some level if they need to put some new skills into their company. We do have some small sort of subsidy money for that. Again, some of the titles you might know. The Sunfish is a new feature coming out. Art as 2 or 3 years old, and it just opened in France last week, I was told. The Ambassador, might have heard of an ITFA ballroom dancer. And we have 4 feature films finishing up just now. We haven't had a feature finishing for about 2 years, apart from Cloud Chamber, which is an alternative one of its kind. We also support TV pilots for TV series. We've not done many of them, and we're still trying to find a way of doing it in the best, most constructive way, not only for the talent, but also so that we actually can meet the requirements of the TV stations. There's no point in us developing stuff that won't go anywhere. It might be a good experience and people will get a paycheck now and again, but that's not quite the point of it. Transmedia projects, a couple of examples listed there. I'll go into a little bit more detail. Because it also said we support innovation, and what is that and why are we doing that is maybe more the question. And I think the only criteria really when people come to us with a transmedia project, whatever that is, a cross-platform project, a project that's not necessarily traditional in one platform as we know it. I'm not talking about hybrids here, I'm talking about having more editions continually, is to have, it needs to have an element of filmic narration. Again, Christian Cloud Chamber is a good example of that. So there has to be some kind of narration within film, whether it's animation, whether it's a game, whether it's a completely interactive, very hard to define entity, an element. Sorry, here we go again. Why don't you tell me? Anyway, yeah, it's our job to take risks and to, again, help to secure the language, so the language of film is not stalling, you know, that it's constantly moving somewhere else. I'm not sure I know where it could be going or should be going, but it certainly is not going to just remain the same, especially not because we do have the new platforms and a constant evolving and emerging technology we need to cater to. And also another reason is that certainly in order to invent film language, money is not necessarily just kind of come trickling down from broadcasters as they do now. They are not the ones that can, maybe they shouldn't, or maybe they won't, but they're not the ones to help innovate and to fund transmedia projects. However, they are still also in Ireland the biggest content curators. So it's important that we as a subsidy scheme, a public subsidy scheme, are there to be brave and to be innovative and take risks where the broadcasters can't afford it. Because let's be honest, public service broadcasting and the money that goes with it are not necessarily going to stay at those wonderful levels that we are enjoying at the moment, because there's more competition. We all know that. So yeah, content curation is something that we just need to make sure that nobody gets stuck in the system just because they have some silly ideas, some crazy ideas. I'm not talking about Cloud Chamber, no, but I'm talking about just not being scared of having wild, big, amazing ideas, because they all have potential. Even if it's just a little grain in there somewhere, we need to look at it and try and find it. New Danish Screen is also a place, of course, where you can fail. Not that anybody would want anybody to fail when they do production development, but it is, you know, because we do not have that audience out there. The only deal we have is that broadcasters will be able to, they don't have to, but we please want them to put our productions in whatever format on both their screens, both TV2 and Denmark's Radio DR will be able to screen our titles up to 6 times, actually 12 times, including repeats. We need to make sure that testing ground is there for people, that the fertile ideas are allowed to be seeding, and that the talent pool is constantly oxygenated. Yeah, we're still on the same slide. Yeah. So just to give you quick examples, Cloud Chamber is an online mystery game mixing social media interaction with a filmic journey. We haven't seen that before, and it's just exciting. And yeah, go and play that game. It's fantastic. 48-hour games. It's basically an interactive documentary that you can play online, but I went to the live premiere. I don't know if it's been in Dublin or Ireland, but quite funny. We have something called the Embarrassment Zone, which is an installation that actually opens on Monday, which was done also as a complete crazy experiment. Whether it will work, we don't know. Cosmic Top Secret is a project that, is in development, and the one that I talked about being part funded by the game subsidy scheme. And then we have Story Music, which is an interactive music documentary that will come out soon. Very quickly, other things we do, Pixel Jam, where ideas can meet funders, can meet actually talent. We are very, very focused on the teams working together, consisting of not just a director, but a writer and producers, and we support brand new teams, brand new producers, brand new directors, and of course writers, and not only coming from the film schools, they can be self-taught, they can come from anywhere. Pixel Jam being that, talent dates, why don't you come and meet some people you never met before? Industry days, you know what that is like, it's a bit like networking for a long time. We premiered the two main festivals, one being a fiction festival, the other being documentary. We just done Shoot It, so I'll be finishing very soon. Shoot It as an experiment where we gave, we gave a small amount of money to, we asked people to pitch, not any application form as normally, 1 minute video. We got over 100 applications. There was only 10 days for the deadline, and we got so many ideas, and then we asked them to pitch to us, and we picked 6 ideas, and they are now delivering a film this week. We have no idea. We have just not touched it. We want to see what people can do out of their own accord. It's going to be exciting. And the Embarrassment Zone is that installation I was talking about that will open in a gallery on Monday, a big gallery. This is what I talked about before, who we can support. We can also support established talent who want to do something really crazy, experiment. And for people who want to change track, want to do something new. It could be a writer who wants to direct, classically or typically an actress who want to write or direct. Very quickly, yes, we give an awful lot of rejections, but we also start a lot of development processes. As I said before, we don't necessarily develop just by the box standards. Go home and write some more, we'll have another meeting. No, if people want to write with an actor or with a team or with a writer's group, or they want to draw, or they want to come in and not write anything, but just have a very verbal process, that's fine. We're open to all of it, because we can't all stick to paper all the time. As I said before, TV screening, streaming is of course coming up. We just 10 years site where some of our films are streaming with English subtitles, special editions from time to time. Who are we supporting? People who will be at the forefront of Danish film in 5 to 10 years. Of course, ideally, that would also happen to be international talent that you will all know. But ideally, and a lot of the ones you know today have been through our system over the years. It's good to do the innovative bit, the artistic importance of the vision that people have to get that through now. It might not be the appealing one that the audience will queue up for in RAWs, but there is a possibility. And iconoclastic projects, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. If you want to look into more figures, there's lots of information on this website. That's the Danish Film Institute. Or you can email me. But there's tons of these reports on our website, so you can also go into the historic bits about who we are and what the Film Institute does.